My hope is to talk with Ellen Meister, the author of Joyride. This is her most recent book. It's one of my favorites that she's written, but I've been reading her books for quite a few years now, I think about 15, and we're going to talk about her writing, her teaching, and all sorts of things if I can just get Instagram to cooperate. Yay!
Okay, I worked it out. I think it was me, but it's okay.
We will beat these technology gods.
Hi, really forgive me for the technology problems. I'm really glad we're doing this, Janie.
It's not the first time and it won't be the last, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I discovered last night, because I'm a dork, I forgot to have my son pull your book off the bookshelf. There we go. Much better. Much better.
Here it is. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And so I got it up on my Kindle, but I can't reach up there and I'm afraid to climb up there. I have these super high bookshelves and they're all in alphabetical order and you landed on the top naturally.
Yeah, no, we don't want any accidents, Janie.
No, not at our age.
Yeah, yeah.
But at least my age.
Well, you know, we're both in our 20s, so yeah, getting up there.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. 60 is the new 30.
Yeah, there you go.
Hi. So you're in New York.
Yes.
How are things in New York today?
We're having a pretty nice day. It's pretty lovely weather-wise.
Good.
Yeah, yeah. So we're getting ready for a heat wave, though.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
We're good through this week. The forecast for Wednesday when I have to be outside playing with the band is 87. Please don't change.
Yeah.
Sitting out in the sun, you know.
Yeah, not too bad.
And then I come home to my air conditioning, so then it can heat up.
But I'm very happy to be in here with the AC with you, my little dog beside me. So yeah.
How are the doggies?
Doggies are really great.
They're
really
so cute.
They bring me joy.
Yeah.
They are my escape and my salvation. So yeah.
Yes, I know. All right, Ellen, let's go back.
Yes.
Let's have our viewers who don't know you as well. I feel like I know you. I've been dealing with you for years and reading your books.
Yeah.
Tell us about where you grew up and were you a reader? Were you the kid at the library? How did this journey start for you?
You know, I was a reader. I think as a kid, it's funny, as a kid, I gravitated toward fairy tales. I think it was I just loved storytelling. I think it was really just the escape that I really loved.
Yep.
But I didn't have my heart set on being a writer until a very, very specific moment in high school.
Oh.
It's really, really interesting. I had an English teacher who I did not get along with, who didn't give me good grades, who didn't like me. We had a very, very tumultuous sort of relationship. And I turned in an assignment that was a scene with a lot of dialogue. And he gave me the most grudging compliment. And he wrote something like, these are essentially believable lines of dialogue.
Well, that's great.
And I went, you know, for him, a teacher didn't like me. Took a lot for him to admit that. And I went, you know, they are essentially believable lines of dialogue. And I said, maybe this is my thing. And then I went, the second I had the thought, Janie, it was like a lightning bolt. I went, yes, this is my thing. This is my thing. This is what I am. I'm a writer. And I didn't know it until that second. And then there was nothing else for me. That was it. That's what I was. So really, it was that really one very peculiar moment.
Now,
so
what year in high school were you?
I was a senior.
Oh, we were senior.
So it was, yep. So I went to college. I was an English major. You know, it's like an English lit major, but I tried to do a concentration in creative writing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I graduated, I knew I wanted to be a novelist. But I had a way greater talent for procrastinating than anything else at that point. So that was what I indulged in more than writing. Yeah. So I became an advertising copywriter. I wrote brochures and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it. I was good at it. I still like writing copy, you know, give me a chance to write a good ad or something. It's kind of fun for me. I'm one of those writers, when my publisher asked for input on the jacket copy. I'm like, just let me do it. I got this. So I still like writing copy. So being a copywriter is able to sort of scratch that creative itch and at least tell myself, if not convince other people, that I was a writer.
Yeah. And pays the bill.
Yeah, and then I was in my 40s when I finally decided, you know, this ride doesn't go on forever. And I don't want to wake up one morning and be 80-something years old and go, damn, I should have given that a shot, you know?
Yes, I do know.
And I had 3 small children at the time and no time to do it. So I started getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and writing for 2 hours before the family woke up. Yep. And 2 years later, I had my first book.
Which was?
Well, I was writing it under the title George Clooney is Coming to Applewood. It was a story of, it was a very raunchy, funny story about 3 PTA moms who were trying to get a George Clooney movie filmed in their town. And after many rejections and a massive amount of heartbreak, I got an agent, more rejections from publishers. Then I got a publisher, came out in hard copy. It was like a very big deal and all that. But my publisher said, without George Clooney's approval, we can't use his name in the title. So, and I actually did try to call his agent and publicist to get permission, but couldn't swing it. Yeah. And so we called it Secret Confessions of the Applewood PTA, kind of like an ironic title. Yeah. So that was my first book. That was the beginning, and that came out in 2006.
Okay. Yeah, and then what came next?
Then I wrote a sister story called The Smart One, which was like I think of it as like a real sophomore effort. I was trying to sort of feel my way around at that point. And then I got a very, very big idea after that for a very high concept book. And it wasn't as funny as the other 2, but I had this high concept idea about a woman who in the basement of her house has a literal portal to the life she would have had if she hadn't gotten married, had the husband and the child on the way.
That's when I discovered you.
Right, and that was called The Other Life, and that was one that was actually optioned by HBO. So that was like a turning point for my career. I felt like my writing took a more, even though I kept writing funny books after that, books with a lot of humor in it, it felt like a turning point for me that I was really sort of getting my legs at that point and really understanding storytelling and coming a long way in terms of my writing, both in terms of storytelling and the writing itself. You know, and from there, then, as you know, I wrote the 2 Dorothy Parker books, and altogether there are now 10 published books, and it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, I discovered you. I think it was Pump Up Your Book. It was one of those virtual book tour groups. And that's when I found you. And I just couldn't put that book down. It's still way up on top of my shelf. I will never part with it. I love that book. In fact, you know what? I should get that out and have my book club read that one, because we read Joyride and they all loved it.
No, that was exciting, because I got for that book I had my first NPR interview. So that, you know, felt like a very big deal. And like I said, then it was optioned by HBO, so it really felt like things were starting to happen at that point. The show didn't get made, but it was fun to get that interest.
I was going to say, where's the movie?
Yeah, well, you know, most options don't actually go all the way through to production, but, you know, it's nice to at least get to that point.
That is such a lovely book. It's so magical, and it's so thought-provoking. It's so, let me go back and think about my life. Yeah. You know, and it's, I'm trying to think, it was, I think it was 2011 when I read it. So I was in my 50s, but it's still, I remember it having a big impact on me, because as I was reading, I was going along with the character, you know, and kind of going through my own imaginary portal. What if that, you know, what if? Right. I just think it's a beautiful, but you don't have a copy to hold up?
I have a bunch of my books here. I don't have The Other Life here, but
okay. I'll put one.
Yeah,
I'll add one.
It was interesting. So I had gotten the idea for that book, and I carried the idea around for a long time before I had this like one sort of revelation that I knew would make it work, which was that my main character's mother is alive has committed suicide and is dead in this life, but in the other life she's alive.
Right.
And once I got that idea, I knew I had a book. And the trick was, because I'm not a science fiction fan per se, it's like, can I write this and have it give it the right feel that I want? It can feel paranormal, it can certainly feel like magical realism, but I didn't want this real science fiction-y thing going on, because that's not who I am as a writer.
Right.
So once I got the idea, I said, let me see if I can write the first couple of chapters and see if it's going to work. And once I got that voice down and sort of nailed the premise, I knew I was, I had something that I was in love with. So
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's great. And I recommend it to everybody. Like I said, I'll put a picture at the end of this on Instagram. Somehow I'll figure out how to do it. And
yeah, it's one of those books, the hardcover
great
artwork is totally different from the paperback artwork. So.
I think I have a paperwork. It's got a beautiful cover. I know that. And then you did the two Dorothy Parker books.
Correct.
Then you did some, the Rooftop Party, and you had the Home Shopping Channel show.
Yes.
Books. Those were hilarious.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a little bit about the writing of that. So when I got the idea to write a murder mystery about a shopping channel host, I thought, well, I'm not going to write, that's not an Ellen Meister book. I don't write murder mysteries, and I don't write about the shopping channel. And like, what am I doing with this idea? Go away, bother somebody else. You got the wrong writer. I want to send my muse packing.
Yeah.
But the idea wouldn't leave me alone, especially since the main character, I was just falling in love with her because she was very antithetical to what you would expect from a shopping channel host. Instead of this being sort of this like perfect, pristine woman, she was all like sex, drugs, rock and roll, right? Yep. She was an aspiring actor, and she drank too much, she smoked too much dope, and, slept around too much, and she misbehaved too much. And I just was having so much fun with the idea of her as a character. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write this under a pseudonym. So it's not going to be an Ellen Meister book. Oh. And Janie, if I tell you, it was a very freeing experience because I almost became like a persona as I was almost like a different character as I was writing the book. It wasn't me writing it, it was somebody else. So it sort of freed me from the constraints of worrying about what people would think of me. Is that an odd thing? And I wrote the whole book. I can
see where that would be freeing because you're not worrying about anybody's expectations or judgment.
So I wrote the whole book. Instead of writing it as most writers, after you've written a book or two, you sell a book based on, not the whole book. You write a proposal, you write a few sample chapters and whatever. I wrote the whole book, and I sent it to my agent, and she loved it. And she said, I think it is an Ellen Meister book. Let's, try to sell it that way.
Yeah.
But then the interesting thing was, I thought I wrote a murder mystery. So the first one was Love Sold Separately.
That's right.
And I was talking before about the title switcheroos. I was trying to sell that under the title Kitty Kitty Bang Bang, because the victim in question was named Kitty Todd. She'd been a star shopping channel host.
Right.
And a lot of my agent was sending it to mystery publishers, and a lot of them were like, we'd love this book, but we don't know how to sell it because it's not a cozy, and it's not a crime, and it's not a thriller, and it doesn't fit into any neat slot in the mystery category. So it kept getting rejected from mystery publishers. One editor even said she was gutted to have to reject it, but her marketing department just said, we don't know how to sell this book, which was a shock to me. Because it had an amateur sleuth, so it wasn't like a detective story, right?
Right.
But it wasn't
definitely not as cozy.
Because it's not G-rated, and it's not cute, and whatever. Yeah. Yeah. It's not small town, right?
No.
So then Mira bought it, and they said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to market it as, because it did have a romance in it, as a rom-com with a mystery element rather than the other way around.
Okay.
So hence, that's why the title got changed to Love Sold Separately. And then I wrote a follow-up book called The Rooftop Party.
Right. They're great books. And I recommend them highly. They're hilarious. And then we go into Divorce Towers.
Yes, correct.
A whole other, little on the raunchy side.
Yes.
But you've got this main character looking to find herself. And to me, that's a book about finding your home.
Right.
Tell everybody what that one's about, where the inspiration came from.
So for Divorce Towers, so that was another, that and Take My Husband were kind of my like pandemic books, you know, and I really, really felt the need for something incredibly escapist. Escapist for the reader, but escapist for me. So all of my books have been very close to home and not autobiographical, but there were always real elements of me somehow making their way into the book.
Right.
I said, I need a vacation from Ellen. I got to go away. And so I went to Beverly Hills and I said, let me see if I can write something that's sort of fun and glam and sexy, still maintain my voice.
Mm-hmm.
So I found a main character who I could sort of relate to, because I kind of gave her like a fish out of water, right? So she was this New York young woman who landed in this very, very upscale condo in Beverly Hills as the concierge. So there was kind of an upstairs, downstairs quality with the very wealthy people and who live there and the non-wealthy people who work there. And I just had a lot of fun. It was like a lot of drama. It was kind of soap opera-y, but I just tried to make it smart and funny and also have a theme about second chances.
Right.
So that was
and
Divorce
it's
Towers.
multi-generational, because you have this young woman, and these are older people for the most part living in the building.
Right.
And they're doing stuff that a lot of people think older people don't do, but they do it.
Gave her an older uncle, like a great uncle, who was a player. And that was, you know.
And of course, the old ladies all want him because, you know, men tend to die off before women.
What am I doing this for, right? So I had so much fun with that book.
That's a great book too. Okay, now I have to tell you, Take My Husband is one of my favorites. That's another one of yours where I think, you know, I have a top 3 with you. I mean, they were all good, but I do have a top 3. I love Take My Husband because, like you said, you wrote it during COVID. You were trapped at home, right, with your family. You're all in one house.
Yeah.
I was lucky. It was just me and one son. And so it was pretty easy for us to coexist. But if it had been 4 of us, I would have gone out of my mind. And you said, you know, one day you're just sitting there and you're like, I want to kill my husband.
Yes, because I was actually in the middle of writing something, right? I'm sitting at my computer, and you know, Janie, when you're in the middle of a paragraph and you're trying to edit it, it's very intense, right?
Yeah.
You're moving sentences around. You just got to the place where you think you may have figured it out, but you're holding one sentence in one hand and one sentence in another hand and twisting them around, and the concentration is intense. And the door to my office, which has a sign on it that says knock, bursts open, and my husband said, I heard that they got toilet paper at BJ's. And then I went, okay, I'm putting this book aside and I'm writing a book about a woman who wants to kill her husband. So that was literally
so relatable. Oh my God, the great toilet paper search.
And I love my husband. Yeah, and God bless him, he's been such a great sport about the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I just thought sort of a dark comedy with that at its core might be able to really work. And then I just started working on the story and finding the layers and figuring out who this woman was and how I could create a character who couldn't get out of the marriage by any other way except sort of trying to gently shove her husband off this moral coil. Like, who was this woman, and why couldn't she get a divorce? Why couldn't she just leave him? Why couldn't she just walk out? You know, so I had to create her persona, this sort of strange throwback of a marriage, and I put all the pieces together and again just really had fun with it.
I think it's brilliant. And I've said this in my reviews. I'm going to say it again. You have a talent that very few writers have, and that is to address very serious topics. But you do it in such a way that people are laughing along the way. And sometimes you can get very far into the book and you don't even realize, because you're doing it with such a light touch, how deeply you are being emotionally impacted by what you're reading and how much you're thinking about a very serious subject. It's happened to me more than once with your books, and it really happened with that one because I thought it was just, first of all, it was hysterical, but then it gets very serious.
Yes.
And it's very emotional. And anybody that's been married for more than about, I'd say, 6 months is, you know, because you have the honeymoon phase, right? Where about the toilet paper, honey, I don't care. You're so wonderful. You know, I mean, at that time, my husband and I had been a long time, and I could just relate because, you know, I remember the great toilet paper surge.
Right.
And I remember being in my office here, I was trying to practice law in this room, you know, and even though we, you know, we weren't all crammed into here together, there were still those interruptions. And like you say, you know, I don't write fiction. I have no talent for that. But, you know, you try to write a legal brief or something and you're really concentrating. And then, you know, here comes the kid.
Yeah.
You know, Mom, I don't have any gas in the car. Well, what do you want me to do about it, you know?
Right. Now, I thank you because I do work very hard on the emotional trajectories in my books. It's one of the reasons I do so much rewriting as I go along. You know, I know a lot of writers talk about just like getting the first messy draft down and then going back and revising. And I talk about how anal I am and I just rewrite and rewrite and rewrite as I go along. But part of that is getting the emotional trajectory just right.
Yeah.
So if I put the book aside at night, I wake up in the morning and I can't find my footing for exactly the emotional space my character was in when I left them the night before, I got to go back a couple of chapters, reread, get really deep into where the character was emotionally, and be able to land there on the next chapter when I'm writing. So I pay very, very close attention to that. It's really important to me. And it's one of the harder things I find when I'm writing.
So do you consider yourself a plotter or a pantser, or are you somewhere in the middle?
I consider myself somewhere in the middle, but I think I always find that an interesting question because no matter what they say, I think most writers are somewhere in the middle. You know, when writers say, and for anybody watching this who don't know what we're talking about, plotter and pantser, it's sort of a common shorthand for writers to say a plotter is somebody who really works out the whole plot beforehand, and a pantser is somebody who writes by the seat of their pants.
Right.
The people that don't plot at all, I think maybe they're people that don't have a formal written outline, but I think in their minds as they go along, they know what story points they want to hit along the way and often know where they want to end up or what kind of arc they want their main character to have. So while they might not technically be a plotter, they've got something in their head. And I think the people who call themselves plotters, like me, and I do try to work out the plot beforehand, it's a very organic and fluid document. I will try to say, this is where I want to hit in the midpoint, this is where I want it to end, and I'll try to think what are the obstacles that get in the character's way, and I try to work it all out. But what happens is, as you write a book, you get to know your characters better than you knew them when you wrote the plot at the beginning. So a lot of times you get to chapter 17 and you thought, oh, this is where my character gets pissed off, says F you and storms out the door, right? And you get to the scene and you go, oh, well, she wouldn't say that. That's not, she wouldn't storm out. She would talk, whatever it is, you know your character better. And I always, this is something that I tell my writing students is, character is king, right? You always have to stay true to the character. So stay true to the character. If it's not something that feels natural, don't do it. Do what feels natural to the character. Then go back and revisit your outline and figure out how to make it work with this new development. And so plotter, yes, but then I'm also staying true to the character and knowing that there's a very organic part of it and always open to surprises. Sometimes, Janie, whole characters show up that I didn't anticipate. So I'm open to that. If it surprises me, I know it's going to surprise the reader too. So
I was just going to ask you, because I've heard authors say, I was typing away and this character just showed up and said, put me in your book. And then there they are. And they sometimes become very integral to the plot.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's just called magical creativity.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the word for it is, but that's my word for it.
They talk to you, you know, like I put a character in a scene for expedience. I think they're just going to do something. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I'm not leaving so soon. Like, okay, let's see where this goes.
All right. So I want to talk about Joyride.
Okay.
And the reason, there's a couple of reasons. I'm going to hold it. Yeah, there we go. Yours is much better than mine. It's such a pretty cover. It really, and when I looked up at my shelf, I went, boom. It's right there because the color.
Yes, it stands out.
It stands out. So I didn't have to go, where's M? No,
Yeah.
and then I went, oh crap, it's way up there. But anyway, you, I think we were on a Zoom. Can't remember. I read an article and you talked about what a tough time you had writing this book. And I remember thinking to myself, well, my God, you would never know it with what's on the page because it just flows. And it feels like a book that you just almost like, wrote it in one sitting. It feels effortless as you're reading it. And then I was flabbergasted to hear, and especially somebody with your education, your background, your training, your experience. You've written all these books and you still had a tough time. So that is a real lesson in perseverance for people that I want you to share, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't offhand remember what book it was, but the same thing had happened to John Irving. Talked about writing a whole book. I think he wrote it in third person, then he changed it to first and rewrote the whole book, or maybe it was vice versa. I don't remember. But yeah, I was really struggling with it for a couple of reasons. One was figuring out who was going to tell the story. I knew that I wanted Joy Bird to be the main character, but I was a little worried because she's a very earnest character.
Yes.
And I thought, most of my characters have a sarcastic edge, and she does not have a sarcastic edge. So how do I find the humor, and how do I have her carry a whole book if she doesn't have this sarcastic edge to her? So I was trying to find, I thought maybe the father, who was also, they were really like the odd couple. They're completely opposite type of personalities. Maybe he's going to narrate the book. And that didn't work. So I thought maybe I have another person narrate. So I was going back and forth with that a lot. That was part of the problem. And the other problem was the character of the father. A lot of my beta readers, those are the people who read early drafts of the book, were really having a problem with that character. And they found him, I wanted him to be as crusty as like a mixture of Dr. House and Dorothy Parker, and they kept saying he was too unpleasant. It was too, I loved the character. It's like, why, really, there's nothing to love about this terrible Dr. House kind of guy. And after trying to soften him, I said, I can't soften him anymore. He's going to lose all he is. I realized it wasn't his crustiness. It wasn't his sarcasm. It wasn't his orneriness. It was his temper.
Okay.
And that once I realized that, I said, I just have to figure out a way to make the book work without giving him that explosive temper. That's what was driving people absolutely crazy. So I was able to make him as crusty as I wanted, but I just had to make him not as explosive. So yes, I'm telling you, I have to relearn this book writing thing with every novel. It's a whole different, something new that I'm learning. But I love the challenge. I love learning new things. I love challenging myself. So while it drove me crazy, I'm really glad I went through all that and finally came out on the other end with a book that I loved and was so proud of. And when I nailed it, I knew I nailed it, and it felt like heaven.
You did nail it.
A great feeling when I finally finished that book.
And what I said at the beginning, for anybody who just wants a little joy in their life, I'm telling you, go get this book. And let's tell folks a little bit about what it's about, because I really want people to buy it and read it. It's just so much fun. And with everything going on in the world right now, I don't know about you, I find myself reading to escape more and more and more and more,
Yeah.
And I tend to have the news on a lot. MS Now is on, all the time when I'm home, so I can see headlines. But I sometimes just have to mute it. I can't. It's too much. And this is a book for those moments. So you have this young woman. Her name is Joy Bird. She's just relentlessly cheerful.
Yes.
She just doesn't have a mean bone in her body. Her mother named her this name that she would hope she would live up to. She's, like you said, she's so earnest, and she wants nothing more than to be a life coach and to help other people.
Right.
And she has, was it a Honda?
Yes.
She drives a Honda, and she's a Uber driver.
Yes.
And she picks this handsome, wonderful guy up one morning who gives her this brilliant idea be a life coach in your car. You don't have to have an office. Drive around Manhattan.
Right.
Dispense advice, which is a great idea, right? But she has this father who basically was a victim. No, not a victim. That's the wrong word. He was canceled by Me Too. He was a writer in Hollywood. He deserved to be canceled. The victims were the people he was mistreating. And he's got nowhere to go, basically. So now he shows, and I always pictured him as like a Lou Grant. And Ed Asner, grumpy, you know. And then, you know, let's play grab, you know what. And so she's stuck with this guy, and she's trying to figure out how to help him. And then this book goes into, it becomes like a sitcom. You know, and I was reading along going, this is so silly, but it's so much fun, where she's trying to find his old girlfriend for him. She's thinking, that'll make him happy. I can get on with my life. We'll all be great. But, you know, he has more issues than just being kind of a perv. And so she goes on this whole quest. And then my favorite character is the upstairs neighbor.
Betty.
Betty. Oh, my book club, and we all want to be Betty. She's just the best, you know. So you almost have this, you know, like a Rhoda coming into the whole thing, right? Because you got Joybird. She's like she's like Mary, and then you got Rhoda upstairs, and the whole thing somehow works beautifully. Again, a discussion of very serious topics, while you're laughing your butt off. I don't know how you do it.
Thank you. I really wanted Joybird and her father. It's funny that you say like a sitcom, because I was seeing them in this almost odd couple kind of relationship, because they're living together, right? And they could not be more opposite. But she's desperate to have a relationship. Her father abandoned her as a child. She wants to please him. She wants to make him happy. She wants to have a relationship with him. She wants to make everybody happy, right? And she's pretty good at it. I mean, she's actually much better at giving other people advice than she is at giving herself advice. So, yeah, I mean, and the dad, he was somebody who'd had a lot of success in Hollywood. He was an Emmy-winning comedy writer. By the way, can I talk about how ambitious it is to have a character who's a comedy writer? Because then you got to think of funny lines for them to say. So her father, you know, dead broke, has no choice but to come move in with her. But really, he also wants to make up for lost time, and he wants to be a better man. He knows he's been a shitty guy. He knows the kind of father he's been. And I think that is what redeems Sid, because, you know, he's been pretty horrible in his past. But he's trying. He's from a different world. He's from a different time. He doesn't understand the new rules. And he's trying, and she's trying to help him. And so is Betty, who's a mother figure to Joybird, but also sort of a mentor to Sid, and helping him become the man he can be. So there's a lot of
the good in Sid. They both do. They both see the good in him, and then through you, the readers see the good in him. Because, you know, look, I'm in my 60s, right? And I was in the workplace, and I am of the opinion that any woman over 50 has been sexually harassed. If you've been in the workplace, you have. You just have.
100%.
And I was sexually harassed by an older man in the 80s who didn't understand that his behavior just simply wasn't acceptable anymore. But he wasn't malicious.
Right.
And there were, I don't know about now, but there were those guys out there who just, like you said, they didn't understand the new rules.
Right.
And I kind of see Sid that way.
The rules, they say, well, where's the fun in that? You know, and there were lessons for Sid taught by Joybird and Devin and Betty.
And Devin's great too.
And what was important to me, so the daughter is what people would call woke. The father is what people would call anti-woke.
Right.
But I wanted to present these two characters without judgment from me, the writer. I didn't want to hold them up and say, oh, you see how right she is and you see how wrong she is and he is. Nor did I want to say, oh, you see how ridiculous these woke people are and how clever these anti-woke. I didn't want to go to either of those extremes. I wanted to show them as humans with where you can understand where they're coming from and for them to have validity to their emotions, right? So that was really key for me. And I think it's interesting that you said like you saw it as a sitcom, because I'm actually right now working on trying to, I just with a partner wrote a pilot script based on this. And so we're trying to actually, in case anybody from Hollywood is watching, we are trying to sell it. That's our next step, is to try to sell it as a TV show. So
that could be fun.
Yeah.
That could be really fun because, like you said, you've got these two characters on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Right.
And there's nothing that's a bigger turnoff to me as a reader than a writer that preaches to me.
Right.
And you didn't do that at all. You just presented some human beings with these characteristics. Let me make up my own mind who I liked and who I didn't. And as it turned out, I liked all of them.
Right.
So definitely people go out and get this book. Now, what's next? What are you working on besides the pilot? Are you working on another novel? Is something in the pipeline? Because, I need a book to read.
It's going to be a little hot minute because I'm working on 2 novels. One is definitely an Ellen Meister story, may wind up being my most autobiographical story, though I'm telling you it's not me, but it is a sibling story, a road trip sibling story, and the middle sister is a writer, not at all autobiographical, right? So I'm working on that. But I also, and this is the thing, I was talking before about getting visited by the muse. It gives you an idea that's like not meant for you. I did get this crazy idea for a sort of a dark psychological thriller. Now that definitely is not the Ellen Meister brand, but the idea won't leave me alone. So I'm working on that as well. So I'm kind of going back. So it's going to be a hot minute because I was working on that sibling book. I put it aside. I'm really determined to finish this psychological thriller, and then I'm going to go back to the sibling book. And I'm working on trying to adapt Joyride for television. So we're also working on trying to sell Take My Husband as a TV series. So I keep myself busy.
Yeah, obviously. And you teach too.
Yes, I teach creative writing over Zoom.
Oh, is that how you do it?
I used to do it in person here on Long Island, and when the pandemic hit, I switched to Zoom. But I never left Zoom because some of my students moved. They're far flung now. They're in different states. And then there's also people who just have come to me. So it's kind of a nice thing that I can reach people who aren't necessarily local. And, it's certainly a lot easier to, not have to get in the car and go to a location to teach. And I could just sit in my office and teach. So.
Oh, yeah. And Zoom it's like a miracle because, like you say, there's so much you can do now. I mean, look at this. We couldn't have done this 10 years ago.
Right.
And here we are.
Right.
Chatting. It's like you're in the next room.
I did one of the very first phone app interview things with Adam Curry. Do you remember Adam Curry? He was a VJ. He was a VJ. Remember, not MTV. What was the other one?
VH1?
VH1, yeah. So he had this show and he interviewed me on that. That was like my first intro to that. We did it and I had this terrible camera. I was all, shrouded in black. You couldn't see me. But yeah, so that was my first. But yeah, we've come a long way since then.
Oh yeah, I remember when I was litigating a big case, and this was it concluded in 2001, so late 90s, I remember having to get in the car and drive to Sacramento to a TV station to be interviewed about the case. And one time I had to go to San Francisco. I mean, that's, it's 90 minutes from here, park, the whole deal. And now, they would have just sent me a Zoom link and that'd be the end of it.
That's right.
So the technology is not all bad.
My first NPR interview, I went into the WNYC offices in Manhattan, Yeah. The headset and now it's all over the phone or Zoom,
Well, and the nice thing for people like me, if you live in a town that authors don't come to on a tour, get to interact with them on a Zoom, hopefully, So now I do want to ask you a question because I had a very lovely conversation with a gentleman named Edward Underhill who wrote a beautiful book, The House of Now and Then, which I highly recommend to everybody. It's got some magical realism in it too. And we got started talking about the state of America
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about the difficulties, of course, that our LGBTQIA
Mm-hmm.
plus community is facing. And I do want to ask you a question because you're on Facebook and you are
Mm-hmm.
very, very vocal with your
Yes.
opinions. Not
Yes.
every author does that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very personal decision. And so, my question for you is number one, I guess, why do you feel that you want to do that? And number two, has that had any implications for you?
Listen, I often ask myself if I'm hurting my career by being so politically vocal.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a human being and I'm part of this world and my heart is breaking in a million ways every single day.
Right.
And I can't not be vocal about it. I just can't not. Has it had any ramifications? I don't know. Maybe some rejections I've gotten have stemmed from my politics. I don't know. I had one guy show up in person at a book event at a library and kind of threaten me. A guy got in my face. He said he was a police officer and he didn't like he waited till nobody was around and he got really close to me. He had come to the event just to confront me. And
That's
nobody
scary.
it was scary. Yeah. And he was a police officer. So I felt, well, that's a threat. What can I do if it's a police officer? So yeah, there've been like a few moments, but, I'm just a person who feels powerless to save the world and would love to try to save the world.
Right.
That's for all the people I care about in my family and strangers out there who are suffering every single day. I just wish I could do more. So.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm not just online. I'm out there at rallies and I march and and I volunteer and
Yes.
So.
I know. I've seen some of your posts about, I'm off to this place or that place, and here's my poster. And I was just curious because, it's a personal decision.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be smart career-wise, but,
Well, I'm certainly more vocal since I'm retired. I had to be careful when I was working, obviously.
Right.
And especially working for the government, you have to be careful that your message is not confused.
Oh, sure.
People can try to say, oh, look, she's making the agency or the department look bad, even though you're just speaking as a private citizen. And now I've been kind of freed from any of those concerns. But I was just curious because, it is a tough time. Things are hard right now for a lot of people, which is why I'm trying to push a book with the title of Joy Ride and help people escape.
And I will also add that being vocal online and finding like-minded community is really emotionally helpful.
Yes.
You feel like you've got community, and community is everything.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I use my block button a lot.
Yeah.
I see certain things and I just go, oh no.
Yeah.
And I know the algorithms are out there doing whatever it is they're doing, but there are some things I just don't want to see. I'm sorry, no, we are not alike, and I don't need your energy in my life.
Yeah.
So I do that a lot. So in terms of reading, everybody always wants to know, what are authors reading? Have you read any books recently that you would like to recommend?
Yes. And I'm so bad at titles, forgive me.
It's okay, we can look them up.
Yeah, Rosie Walsh.
Oh, yeah.
Something like The Day I Married My...
The One Day You Were My Husband.
Oh, I love that book. I absolutely love that book. So that was the thing that I read recently that I'm recommending to everybody.
Okay.
One of the best books I've read in the past couple of years was Frederick Backman's, what was it called? My Best Friend? My Best Friend? Is that what it's called?
My Friends.
My Friends. When I tell you I'm really bad at titles, I am not kidding.
I think this is called My Friends, but I will look. We'll find it.
Yeah.
He is hysterical. I saw his talk that he gave at the Simon & Schuster 100th anniversary. And
yes, it's called My Friends, yeah.
Yeah, and for anybody that can go find that, like on YouTube, you've got to watch it. This guy is a scream.
Yeah, he's wonderful. But what a gorgeous human writer. Oh, my God, I love him. Yeah.
Have you read all of his other ones? Was it the Beartown?
Beartown series. Yeah. I don't know. I think I've read most of them. Yeah.
I've read Anxious People.
I loved Anxious People. I loved it. I know a lot of people said it wasn't their favorite. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was structurally fascinating.
I thought it was so smart.
Yeah.
He kept bringing in these characters and then telling you more of the story. And what's the other one? A Man Called Ove.
Or Uv. I don't even pronounce it.
Yeah.
They made a movie. I think I saw the original movie, but then they also made an English language version with Tom Hanks, so they changed it to Otto. Yeah.
I watched the Tom Hanks movie on a plane.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. No, it was great. And it's a wonderful book. He's a very human writer. I love his stuff. So those are just some things that come to mind that I've read lately that I've loved. Yeah.
Do you read William Kent Krueger?
No. Should I?
Yes.
Okay.
I love William Kent Krueger. Okay. He writes about Minnesota. And he did one, I think it was last year, The River We Remember. It's historical fiction.
Okay.
And it is
Put it on my list.
It is such a beautifully written story set in the 50s after World War II, and it's a murder. And I'm telling you, it's phenomenal. Yeah. So he's great. Well, this has been wonderful. I'm so glad we finally got it to work.
Me too. I apologize.
Don't worry about it.
It's been a while since I've done one of these, so yeah.
It's tricky technology and Instagram on any given day. You don't know what you're getting, so don't even give it a second thought. And I want everybody to go out, read your backlist.
Yes.
And especially read Joyride because it is a joyful.
Or for something sexy.
Yes.
Or if you've had it with your spouse.
Yes. Oh, hold that up again. I love that cover. Take My Husband. That is such a great cover.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. These are all excellent books. I'm telling you, if you need something to just crawl into bed with and forget about whatever happened during the day and just immerse yourself in some characters that you can relate to, you can get angry with them, but you'll love them at the end. These are the books for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
One more thing. Tell folks about
you.
Oh, tell your folks. I'm going to use that line in one of my reviews for your book.
Okay.
This is essentially believable.
Essentially believable dialogue.
Before I let you go, tell folks about Noon Miracle.
Oh,
which I discovered through you.
Miracle near and dear to my heart.
Yes.
So there's this wonderful human being named Jane Sibbett. People know her because she played Carol Ross's ex-wife on Friends. So she's a magnificent actress. She's a magnificent human being. She's a magnificent producer. And she started this organization called Noon Miracle that does a lot of good in the world. A lot of the things they do, benefits various charities. But one of the things she does is she offers online courses and has various people like Amy Ferris, wonderful Amy Ferris, writer, teacher, come in and teach classes. But she also does this thing where she puts on live table reads of scripts that might not otherwise get discovered because she wants producers and Hollywood people and the public at large to get to see them. So I had reached out to her with the script that my partner, David Henry Sterry, and I had written for Take My Husband, and she loved it. And we put together a live Zoom table read of our half-an-hour comedy pilot starring Lisa Kudrow and Richard Kind. So that was, absolutely just an amazing thing. And we benefited the Freedom to Learn Foundation. And so go to Noon Miracle, noonmiracle.com, and just see all the wonderful events and table reads and courses that they have. So shout out to Jane Sibbett and to Noon Miracle.
Too bad you couldn't get any names for your table read.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Lisa Kudrow, now she did the comeback. She rebooted it, but it was just kind of a one-shot deal. That's over, right?
Yeah, over. Okay. That's it.
Maybe she's available to star in it.
Yeah, we'll see. She's pretty busy though.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
And then tell
They're doing
everybody
Romy
about.
and Michelle reunion right now. So yeah.
Oh, that's right. I read about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell
Yeah.
everybody about Amy's book.
Oh, Amy has this magnificent. So we're talking about Amy Ferris.
I haven't read it yet.
Okay, so it's called Amy in Retrograde. So Amy is a wonderful writer, a wonderful human being, an incredible feminist, and an inspiration to so many of us. So she wrote this memoir type book about her connection to psychics and horoscopes and all sorts of really, really fascinating things. But in typical Amy style, it's human and it's filled with love and it's filled with inspiration and it makes you laugh and it makes you cry, and it's called Amy in Retrograde, and I'm telling people it will uplift them. They will love to read it, and I wholeheartedly recommend it. That's another book that made a real difference in my life this year. So Amy in Retrograde by Amy Ferris.
I have to get my hands on it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to read it. I just, I'm not going to show you what's behind my chair.
Yeah.
Embarrassing stack of books.
Yeah.
But I will get to it. So Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really had fun here.
I did too. And when you have the next book, you know where to send it.
Thank you, Jamie.
You know who to reach out to, because I will be ready to read it. 100%. And hopefully when you have another book out, we can do this again.
Sounds great.
All right. Have a good day and a nice
You
Fourth.
too. Thanks. You too. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.